Questions for, or rather, Coach will take an opening statement first, then we'll take your questions for the student athletes, and then finish up. So, Coach, would you begin?
All right, very disappointed in our performance. Been playing some pretty good basketball, and so to come on this stage and not play as well as we've been playing, it's kind of disappointing. But it wasn't because of these guys not going out and leaving all on the floor. I give credit to Florida. I thought the tempo was to their liking, and obviously when you look at what it came down to, I thought it came down to the offensive rebound. They shot it and went and got it, and I thought that was the difference in the game there. We didn't do a good job of putting bodies on them, and their freshman Johnson, I thought he had an outstanding game. The game was still right there in the balance with, a little bit over 3 minutes to go, and they made plays. Some of the veteran guys made plays, some of the young guys made plays, and so that means survive. We didn't survive, so we're very, very disappointed. But not because these guys, they left it on the floor. So it's a tough loss.
All right, we'll take questions for either of the student athletes. Raise your hand, and we'll start right on the front row.
This is for both Daniel and Isaiah. First game, Florida, he scored 51. This game, 50. Two low-scoring games. Is just Florida's defense? Are they a bad matchup for you? What do you think happened in those two games offensively?
Daniel, could you go first?
I mean, I feel like we could have gotten anything that we wanted. It's just that, we couldn't execute. We shot ourselves in the foot down the stretch, and we couldn't get it, we couldn't get the shots that we took to fall. And then we just took some of the shots and we settled on offense most of the time also.
We were playing to their tempo, and so whenever we don't play our tempo, it's hard for us to get into our sets, and we didn't execute very well coming down the stretch, and knowing that they liked the slower tempo than we did, we played to it, and we shot ourselves in the foot like Dan said, and it gave them the edge, and you see that in the game and the performance. If we would have played the fastest 40 ball, I think it would have been a way different outcome.
Hands up, other questions for either of the student athletes? All right, back to the front.
And obviously your guys' goal coming in is to win the tournament, go to the NCAA, but we don't know. You might have an NIT opportunity. Would you guys like to keep playing? How would you feel about the NIT if that presents itself?
Question is for?
Both guys, please.
All right, Isaiah, would you go first?
At this point, we'll be happy to play another basketball game, and nobody wants their season to end short. So we just got to keep a positive attitude, see where we're gonna go from here. But we just gotta hold our heads high. Don't let us see the ground.
Daniel.
At this point out, another basketball game would be great for us because, like Isaiah said, we didn't want our season to end, this short. We wanted to go far, especially in this tournament, and then we wanted to make it to the NCAA tournament because, being in that atmosphere is great for us, and being able to make noise in both of these tournaments, it's a great thing that would happen for Arkansas.
Got time for one more question for either of the student athletes? Anyone? Okay, Bob, you got it.
Hey guys, Mike alluded to the offensive rebounding by Florida. They had 19. Are they just that good? And Daniel, facing Hayes especially, how tough is he? What do you guys both think of their offensive rebounding? How that impacted the game?
Let's go to Daniel first. I don't know if that was one question or two, but Daniel.
The reason that we're getting offensive rebounds is because we were playing soft on the inside. We weren't boxing out. And, they just kept coming up with the long ones, and they kept coming up with the short ones. And playing against Hayes, he's a good player, but stepping up to this type of, atmosphere, I got to come out and I got to play stronger than what I did tonight. I did, certain things right, but I also got to do all other kind of things right, like grab rebounds so they don't grab offensive boards, and also keep them from scoring on the inside because, I got to protect the paint. So I just got to, do better on my part.
Isaiah?
Well, bottom line is they just played a lot more aggressive than we did. They wanted it a lot more. Going down the stretch, they had all those offensive rebounds, and they were just beating us to it, to the 50-50 balls, to the long rebounds, like Dan said. We weren't getting our bodies in there, but they're a real aggressive team, and we knew that they were going to crash the boards going into the game. We just didn't adjust to it. We didn't match their intensity.
All right, we'll excuse Daniel and Isaiah. You can return to the locker room. Thank you, and we'll continue on with questions for Coach Anderson. If you'll raise your hand, and we'll get a floor microphone to you. Let's start right in the front.
Mike, I know you said the other day you'd get Kayvon Allen's best shot. It seems like he always plays great against Arkansas. Even when he was struggling, I think he was 5 for 31 his last 4 games, but today he played really well. Just what do you think of his performance and the fact he always seems to playing you guys seems to bring out the best in him?
Well, obviously, he's from the state of Arkansas. He wants to perform, well against the Razorbacks, but I thought we did a good job up until going down the stretch, and I think his experience kind of paid off for him. He made some plays for him, and so he's a good player, basketball player.
Let's go to the right side on the aisle.
Mike, in looking back over the season, you've talked a lot about the inconsistency of your team. I mean, you go into LSU, you beat them there, you almost take down Kentucky in Rupp Arena. How challenging has that been for you to deal with this streakiness and inconsistency?
At the beginning of the year, I talked about patience. You got to have long patience with this basketball team, because as the year progresses, you hope they pick up on the things that you talk about. And so it seemed like every time we go to a different part of the season, it was like a new chapter for these guys. So even coming here, it's a new chapter. I thought, the adversity took place, and we met it head on, and then we started figuring out some things. But it's a challenge with so many new guys. But at the end of the day, I think they're still, it falls under my responsibility. And I thought for the most part, they grew. They got better. And even as we played today, we didn't play as well as I thought we were capable of playing. But defensively, you think about it, they scored 60-some-odd points, I think with 3 minutes and 51 seconds. It's like a 6 or 8 point ball game, and we're right there. But you got to be able to make plays. And one of the things, the inexperience that hurts a lot is on that floor, you got to have a head on the floor. You got to have that. And that's where the leadership comes. And just going through this, I think it's going to make us a much, much better basketball team. Our players they'll learn from it. They'll learn from this experience. Coming in, I talked about, at this time of the year, it's about the energy you got to bring and the toughness, the heart you got to bring. And I thought, the first half, it was back and forth. And then, Florida, they got a period there where they had a chance to really exert, the offensive glass. And I thought that was a big turning point in this game.
Question down front.
Mike, I'll make this a two-part if that's okay, Claude. Well, I know you didn't have Keyshawn today. He's played in every game. How did that impact you guys? And then how would you feel about an NIT bid? Do you feel like your team deserves that and would welcome that?
I think for a young basketball team, I think, I welcome the opportunity for them to continue to play, And as I told them, you may have some more basketball in you, but we got to see better performance than what we saw tonight. I think, they get a chance to, hopefully get a chance to continue to play because they only can get better. And what was your first question?
Keyshawn played in every game. You didn't have him today. How did that impact you guys?
I think for a team that, we are the sum of all the parts. And we had an important piece missing. Keyshawn's a very good defensive player. Keyshawn is a guy that can stretch the floor. And I think he's built for these kind of games. And so not having him hurt us a little bit, But it's like next man step up and hopefully produce. I always said the first game is the most critical game because you don't know how they're going to come out. And but I thought in the first half it went back and forth and we went up. They came back and went up. Second half same way until that 3-minute mark where they got to the free throw line. They got a lot of offensive rebounds.
All right, got time for one or maybe two more? Go ahead, front row.
We talked about Florida holding you guys to 50 and 51. What is it about their defense that's so tough? And you guys have been shooting the threes real well, and didn't happen today. Was that maybe more just a tough day, or was that Florida's defense as well?
I thought it basically was a tale of two halves. You think about the first half, I thought the half it went back and forth. Neither team shot it well. It wasn't a pretty game, But you don't worry about pretty in tournament play. You just want to survive and advance. I thought in the second half they got a little more physical with our guys, and that sometimes can cause frustration. I thought the tempo was to their liking. I thought that was a big part of it. The tempo was to their liking, and the rhythm of the game and the physical play started. I mean, they were in the one-on-one with 15 minutes to go. So you had a lot of. It's amazing how one half they can call one way, and then the next half it called a different way. So, but that's no excuse for the game, but I just thought the tempo, and they got a good defense, but I thought the tempo was to their liking, and we didn't shoot the ball well. We just didn't shoot the ball. We had some open looks, had a bunch of open looks. I think in the second half, we came down. We had like 3 straight open in the second half. I mean, we got guys that are shooting that you want to shoot it, and just couldn't knock it down.
Time for one more. Anybody? All right, thank you.
All right, thank you, guys.